Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Efecs 2020 Industry 4.E workshop. The title that we're working to this morning is Research Priorities for Digitization of Industries. You are all ours for the next hour and a half, and you are going to have an incredibly exciting workshop. I know there are other options available to you. Don't leave this one. It's certainly the best. My name is Andrew Lynch. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer with Irish Manufacturing Research. And I greet you today from the beautiful Emerald Isle in the northwestern part of this fantastic continent. And as I look out my window, it is raining in Ireland. So nothing new, nothing else happening around the planet. So let's get going with this fantastic workshop. We've got 4 sections for you today. We're going to kick off with a Lighthouse Industry4.E CSA, the results and opportunities of a fantastic work that we've been doing as a group here. And I'm delighted to welcome a colleague of mine, LIASE Sheehan, who is actually the brains behind all of this. And it's just as well she's online because she can explain all of the detail that I certainly don't understand. We go to number 2 and we'll be delighted to welcome Lara from Mondragon. Lara, of course, is, look, there we go, waving. Lara, brilliant on industrial digitization roadmaps. This is fascinating. When you get a look at the work that this group has done, and you can see the complexity of the programs, the projects, and all of the inputs that were required to come into this roadmap on digitalization, you're going to see a really comprehensive piece of work here. And Lara is also going to do a Mentimeter, I hope I pronounced that correct, process with you. Very exciting for me. You'll plug in numbers into a website and you'll be able to engage with us and give out to us and certainly add to the conversation that Lara has got here in the workshop format. And we've left the best until last. Olli Venta, whom I'm sure you all know up there in Finland. We have got him, stopping him shooting those moose and reindeers that he loves up there in Lapland. And he's going to sit with us this morning and go through the SRA 2021. The man is on a musical at this stage roundabout because he has done 1920 and now 2021. And I think early on in that particular document, you're going to see a fantastic visual representation of the complexity of this environment and how it's been evolving over the last number of years. And we'll leave a little bit of time, hopefully at the end of each session, at the end of the session itself, for you to engage with us. I've been informed by the ECSEL 2020 committee that you can type your questions into the chat format and somehow they will magically get to me, which is wonderful because we are, after all, in the digital world and this is the avant-garde of digitization. So without further ado, let's get into my part of the process here, which is about the Industry 4.E Lighthouse. And this is a fantastic moniker, really. When you consider a lighthouse as a metaphor, you're looking at choppy waters and all of us in different ships trying to find our way home, if you like it, to make sure that we've got all of this properly aligned for ourselves. You can see the focus here on microelectronics and ICT, but really what this is about pulling and operating across projects, boundaries, and all these little silos that we find ourselves in, either national, the programs we like, the environments we're in, the collectives that we're used to, all the stakeholders of community, and it's about breaking down those walls and making sure that there's an efficacy across all of this, because we represent a massive challenge right across Europe. We're using taxpayers' funding right across this great continent. We're in the fight of our lives globally in terms of the geopolitical regions. And I think it's important, it's vital that we get this element of it correct going forward. Leadership and guidance, of course, provided by the very mysterious sounding Industry4.E LIASE group. And I will be giving a little bit of an overview on that as we go forward. And Lisanne, as I mentioned, will be helping me with the CSA 4.0 project. The focus will be, as I mentioned, on LIASE, the CSA. We'll also be taking you through a portal. I'm incredibly excited about this portal. And I want you to see it. I want you to get a feel for what this thing can do, because it's helping companies and different research entities to understand where are the gaps, who's done what, who's good at this, where are they located, what kind of relationships that they have, where's the crossing of it, so that we're better informed when we come to the space that we want to ideate and get to. And of course, all of this leads into an Industry4.E white paper. I'll only be mentioning a small bit of this because I don't want to spoil the fantastic presentation that Olli Venta is going to be giving us later on. And of course, if I'm very honest, most of the work was done by himself and coordinated right through as part of the LIASE function. Good. So Without further ado, I just want to give you very quick, this is a boring slide. I don't have many boring slides, but we'll plow through it. The objectives that we've got here: to promote cooperation and collaboration, as I mentioned, foster continuous dialogue. I think this is worth pausing on, because this is not a conversation in one direction. It's not a lecture. It's not something that has a beginning and ending, but it's a continuous conversation that we need to have as a community right across the continent to make sure that this is where we need to be. Foster domain-specific guidance towards twin transition. I think this is really important. You know, if we're going to get there, we need to have the right people in these conversations. Platform for communication and innovation. As I mentioned, the portal, the ECSEL portal that we're talking to here, can be a fantastic part of that. And the guidance, advisory guidance to guide us along the way. And then the shared results for accelerated impact. The last word on this slide is probably the most important in terms of the philosophy of why we're here. It's incredibly important that we address the digitalization challenge, that we look at global warming and circular economy challenges and the green initiative we've got there, and all of the activities that we're doing collectively, individually, collaboratively, and so on, must speak to impact. It's incredibly important. So who are these wonderful men and women that are part of this philosophy that we're going through? And I want to talk about this LIASE group, which of course is the Lighthouse Initiative Advisory Service. Advisory being the high-end part of this here. It's an 8-person committee which is established. And really what we're all about is looking at the networking, coordination, dissemination, standardization, networking, outreach, and all the goodness that gets companies, research organizations, funding bodies around the table, hammering out a strategy that can make this work for all of us. And I just want to give you a very quick overview of the fantastic people that are involved in this program here. On the left-hand side, this is my wife's favorite picture of me, so that's why I use it in a public forum. It's very important to keep our wives happy. As we all know, I work with Irish Manufacturing Research, and I am very lucky to be the chair of this auspicious group, which is why I've been asked to address you this morning. Chris de Gubber, whom I'm sure you know from EFRA. Chris is looking very studious there, as we can see, in his mid-sentence, which is always why Chris is captured. Knut Hulfield, whom I know you will see there, looking regal. Dr. Uli Venta, I'm not going to spend time on Uli because you'll see the real deal live in less than 40 minutes, hopefully. Sandro D'Ilia. Now, Sandro is a new addition from the Commission, and I can tell you what a fantastic person to have as part of this program. I mean, he brings a gravitas and a weight and an understanding that we're very grateful to have. Eduardo Beltran, I'm not sure if Eduardo's with us this morning, but Mr. Suave, I think, is perfectly reflected in this lovely photograph that we've got here. And last but not least, our two wonderful professors, Professor Yerker and Professor Oscar, two giants, heavyweights that bring industrial, practical, and research expertise, much needed, and very grateful for having it on. So you can see a cross-sectoral, a cross-program, cross-platform, cross-country, all of the areas that we'd like to address as part of this. I do acknowledge at this point that we do not have a female representative in this program, and we are looking to extend that process, and indeed have been doing so for some time. And indeed, if you'd like to make any sort of recommendations to that process, we'd be very grateful to see that by typing it into the chat function on the top right-hand side of your screen. I've just said top right-hand side because I'm guessing it may well be on the bottom left-hand side. I don't know. Find the chat for yourselves. Next up, I'd like to unmute Lisa-Ann Sheehan. Hi, Lisa-Ann. How are you?
Hey, Andrew. Thanks so much for the introduction. Really appreciate it.
Not at all. It's lovely to have you.
I'm not going to... Thank you.
I should tell our colleagues that you and I are in two different parts of Ireland. I sit in the very middle of Ireland, and Lisa-Ann, of course, is in the southwest, the lovely town of Limerick. Lisa-Ann, tell us a little bit about the CSA. I will.
Listen, thank you, Andrew. That's brilliant. I'm not going to take up too much of everyone's time because I really want to get into the workshopping with everyone, and my colleagues here will take you through everything. So I'm just going to give you a brief kind of introduction into the CSA, which is kind of the group behind the LIASE and bringing all the projects together and what we do, and just some of the things that we've been doing so far, but then also more importantly, the opportunities for further collaboration where you can get resources, results, and all of the information you need, I suppose, to build projects of the future and to build off the effort over the last number of years. So basically the CSA is spread, as you can see here, across the unions. And what we're doing really is we're supporting the LIASE, we're engaging the research community. We do a number of outreach with citizens, SMEs, etc. And I suppose we're just to improve the visibility of the Lighthouse, which is establishing itself. and establishing itself well. Thank you, Andrew and the team. And if we go to the next slide, I guess, we'll just plow on. So when people say, you know, what's in the Lighthouse, what are the projects, what's going on? We've recently extended the Lighthouse and we're looking to extend it further. So if you are a project and you feel there are complementarities and you're not in this circle right now, we are open to hearing from you and getting you involved with the initiative and all the benefits that come with that. So as Andrew said,
so Lisa, sorry to interrupt you there. Tell me, is there a cost for companies to get involved in this? You know, what are the benefits, we'll say, you know, to engaging in the Lighthouse itself? What can projects coordinators, for example, listening to us this morning, why would they bother?
Absolutely. Well, I suppose it's the one-to-one support that you will get when you're trying to negotiate the new ECSEL portal, for example, attend some workshops that we do when we bring projects together. So it's really taking you out of your current silo. So you maybe have just recently established a project. It could be a national initiative. It could be a complementary project related to digital industry. And basically we want you discussing, we want people to hear about the results and your experience and bring that to the mix, bring that into the community. So we really would, it's an open process. You can literally email us and we will consider you know, what you want to bring and then bring that into the community.
Super, that's great.
Yeah. So some of the things, the highlights, I guess, and I won't dwell on this because the slides will be available to you after, and most slides are hyperlinked. At the moment, we have our ECSEL portal, which is live, which you can go on there and you can search around right now and you can look at video content, really cool results, maybe build new projects and proposals off those results, talk to the people who achieved those results and had that impact. We've had a series of kind of digital workshops. I know we're all digital, you know, at the moment. It would be nice to have a little bit more of a balance. But we have been hosting more interactive digital workshops just to try to use all the tools that are available to us now and try to, you know, pace it out a little bit for people. And then I suppose our network, so all the various social media platforms and where we are connecting with people and trying to share results, you know, on the platforms that best suit them, I guess. So it's kind of a bit demand driven there.
So on the workshop, please, Anne, you know, the connectivity that you were getting face to face earlier in the program, we'll say, and I was personally lucky enough to be involved in some of that. I remember there was connectivity into fantastic projects. I'm looking at Productive 4.0, Arrowhead. I mean, these are international class superb programs. And I know you were working, I guess, looking at connecting to things like, you know, factories of the future, connected factories type things and so on. How did all that work? What was your experience with, say, both from your role there as leader of the CSA and your team and right across the group? What did you find there?
Yeah, so I think having the digital opportunities really does open up the conversation and the availability of, you know, and the access that people from all across, especially in the periphery, have to coming and actually attending and participating. So before there may have been barriers to attending a physical workshop. Those barriers are now removed, and really with a device you can really access and contribute and get involved. So with that comes a lot of information. So I think we probably need to get a little bit better at filtering out the amount of information that's coming at us, and really it gives us an opportunity to focus and just take in the information that's, I suppose, relevant to us. So I suppose removing those barriers to participation. I suppose what's happening now with the digital workshops, it's really, I think it's something that we will actually embrace going forward, and our face-to-face meetings may be very, very different.
Okay, that's superb. I'm glad to hear that. So COVID didn't really impact, we'll say, the longer term goal of where you were going. It wasn't.
No, in fact, I think it's actually presented more opportunities. I suppose we have yet to get the feedback from people in relation to how they what would they prefer as far as a balanced approach, meeting people, having coffees, going for dinner, you know, having those different discussions where work and strategy also happens. So we are missing those kind of informal opportunities. So how do we still have those? I don't think that's been addressed. Yeah.
Okay, great. No, that's great to hear. And I suppose my next slide, I have one question for you. Explain yourself. Lighthouse keepers, young lady. Come on.
Yeah, well, listen, when you look up that hashtag right now, yeah, you do see the very stereotypical lighthouse keepers. So hopefully the LIASE can claim that hashtag with your wonderful online conversation that's going on between you right now. So basically, if you want to find out what the LIASE are up to, where they're going, what they have to say, that's their hashtag. And the LIASE is now extended and it's also gone digital. So look, watch out. And basically what you've been doing in relation to building all of the information that's gone into the white paper and the alignment, not the replication, but like the alignment with other documentation, road mapping, and the work of the CSA to support that effort for you guys. So the white paper itself will be open to community consultation at the European Industry Days in February, late February. So we will hopefully maybe have a face-to-face opportunity with people, but we'll definitely be doing it online anyway, and getting people involved in the final stages of the white paper process. Then, yeah. And we have our lovely ebook for all of you who are trying to navigate EU projects right now. This is a really, really good digital piece, which is downloadable from our CSA website, so Industry4.E. And basically, it's all the tips and tricks to get you through the communication, dissemination, and exploitation. So our colleagues in Steinweiss and AquaTT have been working very, very hard on that piece of work. So congratulations to them.
And on that, Lisa, who's the natural audience for that? Is it nerds from the EU? Is it SMEs? Is it research junkies? I mean, who's that? Who's it faced, I guess?
Well, what we see is the majority of people who are having success with EU projects, so securing EU projects or creating proposals, are novice. So that means they're brand new to the process. So it is for people who are brand new to the process, and that could be anyone. It could be somebody in an SME, a junior researcher, and suddenly, you know, they are successful. They have a project, it's ongoing, and these are the tips and tricks you need to kind of help you navigate that process based on real evidence and learnings over many, many years. So hopefully it really helps us all to improve and build on that learning.
That is superb news. And I think for those of you who are listening to Lisanne and you have a mother who's very difficult to buy presents for, here is an example of something you could do. Download the ebook. I wouldn't recommend you print it for her, but send her the link to it, and I'm sure she'll be very happy.
Yeah, she'll be delighted. Or the white paper.
Lovely white paper.
This is a busy slide, and it's really hard to capture what's going on the website. But basically, there's lots of resources, lots of things have happened, and it's searchable. So you can really find out. A lot of the resources as well are not based on a certain geography or a certain time. So let's say if you're a teacher in a school and you're trying to reach out to your classroom and get kids involved in science, technology, engineering, and maths, there's really lovely career guidance resources there for you to use, which you can just download, print, or share with your classroom. Lots of our workshops have been captured, so it doesn't matter that you miss them. You can still download everything and spend just a bit of time yourself going through and taking the learnings for yourself. So the website is great. Yeah,
I love that website, and I can't recommend it enough, to be fair to you guys. They're a really nice job here. My wife, I should tell everybody online, is a national school teacher, and she was one of the teachers that was involved in the outreach program, Lisanne. So that was quite effective. It didn't do me any harm in my own household. So tell me a little bit.
You had a spy in our outreach.
I had a spy in our outreach. Just to make sure it was good. Tell me, was it hard to engage schools, for example? I know STEM is so important.
No, honestly, the schools, and there's a whole process. So using new tools like Kahoot and quizzes and getting, you know, the young adults involved that way. It's the resources are great, and the methodology for how you implement in the classroom are great. And to be honest, we're nearly turning people away rather than, you know, actually like looking for classes to participate. So there's a real appetite for this type of learning and knowledge. Yeah,
there really is. And I should tell the audience, I have two beautiful daughters. My eldest is dancing and singing, but my youngest is engineering type. She's got her mother's brains, and she's looking at, you know, the whole STEM researchy area, and to have role models like you, Lisanne, in my life, and certainly others that are part of the CSA, to be able to see young women that are in this area. If you can't see it, you can't be it. And I think it's a little bit, you know, there's so much going on in that portal and in the program. I'm delighted we had a chance to call this out in this forum as well. I think it's important messaging for young girls in particular. Good. Did we do it in any other country besides Ireland? Was it done?
Mondragon, Lara can probably talk about it. They did an amazing job. It's all documented online, some really cool videos, images, tweets, had all the scientists involved from Mondragon. It was really like over a few days. It looked class, and all the machines, all the really cool processes, and it's really sciencey. It was cool.
They've got loads of cool machines in Mondragon. We'll be asking
they do.
all about that later on, how you fund all this. I'm going to freak Lisanne out now because the next slide is not the one she's expecting. So Lisanne, tell me, White House, the white paper strategy, I'm loving this. Don't go into too much detail because Uli will be annoyed at me if I steal all his time. But lots of coordination going on here, lots of outreach, lots of input from people. You know, I was involved in the Manufacture Vision 2030 documentation myself. And I saw that being pulled in here in the SRA. What was that like? Was it crazy, chaos, manageable?
It's been a journey. So hence this slide, we're still on the journey. And we have a target. And like, obviously this is an ongoing process with the whole community. And Mondragon and Lara and the CSA have done a huge body of work analysing all of the various information that's coming. And then it's evolving, you know, AI is becoming such a big deal. Our response to COVID-19, the Green Deal, you know, making sure that we are changing slightly and making sure that the roadmap as well is appropriate for the times that we're in. So basically, you can just see that there's been a number of deliverables, which people can read. They're extensive. We've had workshops, so we've been engaging people in that process. And then we've been trying to help the team with the digital industry chapter of the ECSEL. So, you know, a very, very important document, but like we're just a small part of such a much bigger effort. So I guess we're trying to do our best to feed into that process and align and not double up on effort, but align. So yeah, we're going to be having a community consultation again then in Q1. So people have the opportunity to get involved, and then we'll have some conclusion recommendations we'll publish. So people can use it as a guide as they move forward if they wish.
I love the way you put that, Lisanne. You know, there's so much going on. It's a complex environment. This is just part of it, and it's important that you don't try and own a field, but rather that you fit into the work that people like Uli Venter are doing there, for example, in something that's been established over almost a generation now in terms of the activity that he's been doing. So I think that's lovely. And tell me the outreach, just a little bit. Sorry, the public consultation, a little bit about that. How can people get involved? How do you?
Again, so we had some workshops over the summer, which Mondragon were leading as part of their deliverables for the CSA project, and the road mapping documents, which are very small there, but you can download them off the website and just have a look. But basically, that was a very interactive process online. We used some tools that we've never used before to try to generate that kind of interaction. Very well attended, some really nice feedback. We've tried to capture that feedback as well in an annex to the deliverables. So we hope we've done our best to try to get, you know, with the resources we have, to capture as much as we can to inform our decision making and the content generation. So like we're always open to more feedback, and we have an email address on our website if anyone wants to get involved with the process or contribute to the process. So it's completely open process. So do reach out.
And what's that website? Just give it to us verbally there.
Industry4.E, is it .eu?
It's Industry4.E.eu. Yeah, very good, Jack. See, put that woman on the slide and on the back. Come here, this is my favorite slide. Okay. If those of you who are listening to me across Europe at the moment, you're wondering when to have your coffee, now is not the time, okay? Or else bring us to the kitchen with you. This is important. Listen to me, all of ye out there, even with the coffee. This is a fantastic portal. You're not getting a dynamic feel for what it is, but on the left-hand side, you can see dashboards and wikis and projects and programs and people and results and demos. And you get kind of a feel for it here in the screenshot that we've put up. And you can click into a particular, like Arrowheads, for example, or Mantis, or any of these fantastic programs. And then you can see who's involved, where they are, the connectivity to it, the overlap, the gaps, and so on. All these fantastic areas. And in an age, I guess, Lisanne, with younger people, they're not reading much anymore. So there's lots of videos. This thing is cooler than cool in terms of the search capability. And you can get someone to explain it to you in nice, simple English, which always helps.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's searchable, so you can search, I only want to look through videos and I only want to look at like AI, you will get all of those results in one hit for you to go through. So you can't get that anywhere else right now. And this is why it is so fantastic. We have the Lighthouse project. So you're asking, what do the Lighthouse projects get out of this? They get the support here right now. But we're open to more projects entering the portal. It is live. It is you can search it right now. And this is hyperlinked as well. So you can go in there. But like, we really, really do want all the results to come together so we can build from there. And it's just really hard when there's so much great content. Filter. So this will allow that filtering.
It's brilliant. And I'm very conscious that I've got other speakers today, guys. I suppose, look, the message from all of this is, you know, working from the right-hand side to the left, which is always backwards, but I think let's just get in there. Exploit. We want to exploit results. There's an awful lot, as Lisanne said, a huge amount of goodness going on, lots of stuff going on, and to have a portal there that's executable in the way that Lisanne has just outlined, I think that exploitation is incredibly important when we talk about impact. You have to exploit to get impact. We want to promote. We want to get that digitalization roadmap out there. We want to get people like Uli to the forefront. We want people to understand what we're doing. We want to boost participation. My God, we need more companies, more people, more engagement, more research, more money, more outputs, more stuff we can license, more stuff we can give to companies, more enabling, more digitization, more impact. And I think the way to do it is there. But I think above all, and we touched on it with the outreach program with Lisanne and myself, we want to inspire. We want to inspire a community to come together, to partake, to get involved. And all of this that, you know, for example, and we missed it there on the portal itself in the previous page, there's a live feed to Twitter, for example. So all the linkages that you've got on all these programs, and Lisanne has been educating me in the last year on Twitter. I'm a child in all of this, but I am growing to fruition, but all of my colleagues in the LIASE group are in it, and it's incredible to see that connectivity, but to have that connectivity automatically connected into a portal that has the searchability that's there. It's equally connected to the Cordis system, which allows you to download any of the public documents there. It's a one-stop shop. It's a really impactful way of doing it, but it's the inspiration element of that I'm really interested. But could I take this opportunity to thank my colleague Lisanne Sheehan, whom I'm obviously very fond of professionally and personally, and I must say you've done a smashing job here. Very proud of the work that you've done, Lisanne. You and your team in the CSA. You have been an inspiration and a rock, all of you. And you know, Steinbus, you know, the Aqua TT, Mondragon, VTT, and IMR, you're a credit to your organizations. And I am very personally, obviously across everything, very proud to be part of all of the work that you guys have done. And I hope I've been very effective in stealing all the credit for all the work that you've done. So that's enough. I'd like to say to Lara that I am bringing you on board on time. I couldn't get Lisanne Sheehan to shut up, so as you can see. So if you can start sharing your slides, my love, and we can start getting Lara from Mondragon up and running. It's just starting here. Very good. Just put it onto the main screen now, and we'll have you fully up and running.
See my slides and listen to me?
We can see your slides. We can see you. We're excited about industrial digitalization road mapping as a process. So just wow this audience like you've wowed me all year. Off with you, Lara. All yours.
Thank you, Andrew. So my name is Leire Echeverria, and I'm researcher and teacher at the University of Mondragon in the Basque Country in the north of Spain. And I would like to present the work we have done about road mapping in the Coordination and Support Action project, in concrete in the work package 1, that was about enabling the execution of the industrial digitalization roadmap. So we have performed a task of identifying other roadmaps and programs that are related to digital industry in order to identify which are the overlaps, complementarities, also to identify gaps and emerging themes or topics that we want to propose as new topics in the strategic research agenda. And finally, to draw some recommendations of new topics that we consider should be added to the research agenda. And we have performed this work in 2 iterations. The idea was to give some inputs to the writing team of the strategic research agenda. So starting for the strategic research agenda of last year, that those inputs, they took some of the recommendations and delivered a new chapter of the digital industry of 2020. And in the second interaction, we have done the same, but giving inputs for the next strategic research agenda of next year that Oli Venta will explain in the next slide. So in the first interaction, the starting point was this one: 4 major challenges regarding digital twins, artificial intelligence, condition monitoring, and digital platforms. So starting from that point, we selected and analyzed several roadmaps, related to EFRA, the roadmap of the industrial process automation, the EUREKA Smart roadmap, the manufacture vision, also several roadmaps of cyber-physical systems, big data roadmaps focusing on manufacturing, the EPAC vision, the Industry4.E German roadmap, and the World Manufacturing Forum report. So we selected those roadmaps because they were with the European focus and they were recent ones and related to the topics of digital industry. And we identify some emerging topics and gaps. So the first one was the human-centered manufacturing. This was a topic that was present in other roadmaps and was not explicitly addressed in the strategic research agenda. Also, the sustainable manufacturing and circular economy was not explicitly addressed, and we consider that these 2 topics were relevant and should be included. Artificial intelligence was already considered, but we propose to extend the scope of it in order to enable cognitive, resilient, and adaptable factories. There was also another topic that was related to multi-technological engineering. And finally, some non-technical topics such as innovation, business models, and skills. So I will not go in details on the topics that are behind each of these areas, but the human-centered manufacturing was mainly focused on making the human the center of all the processes in manufacturing. When it's interacting with machines and robots, when there is an innovation process, for instance, using crop creation, also to allow inclusive and personalized manufacturing, circular economy and sustainability in order to reduce the energy and material consumption and reduce the impact in the environment was also a key topic. And artificial intelligence for enabling resilient and adaptable factories. Here we consider that there were some topics that could be used to extend the challenge, such as cognitive manufacturing or trustable and explainable artificial intelligence applied in manufacturing. The multi-engineering domains and technologies applied to joint engineering of products was another of the topics that was detected as emerging or gap. And finally, the non-technical topics, business models, standardization, education and continuous training and skills, and legal and ethical aspects. Taking those topics as input, we propose some recommendations. For instance, the extension of the current 4 major challenges, the addition of new technological topics, and addition in terms of new non-technological or technical topics. And the writing team of the strategic research agenda took our recommendations and proposed 2 new challenges, the human-centric manufacturing and the sustainable manufacturing in a circular economy, and also extended and merged other 2 challenges in one about artificial intelligence. And the digital twins and digital platforms challenges were kept and were refined. So this was the starting point for the second interaction. And for the second interaction, I would like to introduce the context. So we started with the second interaction last year, when the global warming and climate emergency, the awareness for this global challenge was raising. Also, digitalization global challenge was very present. And the European Union proposed some guidelines and strategies for addressing this green and digital transition. The European Industrial Strategy for this twin green and digital transition, and the European Green Deal. Also, European Union is proposing a strategy related to artificial intelligence. Taking into account this, we decided to analyze some roadmaps of programs such as the Green Deal and the new Industrial Strategy of Europe, the Artificial Intelligence PPP Strategy Research Agenda, very aligned with the importance artificial intelligence is getting in Europe, and a Manufacture Vision for 2030, a relevant roadmap of the manufacturing sector. And we need to consider also another challenge, the global pandemic, that has have a big impact in European industry, and has been also a source of a recommendation related to this. So now I will present which are the technical topics and non-technical topics that we propose and the recommendation related to them for the next research agenda. And I would like to get also your feedback. So you can go to Mentimeter. Here you have the code you need to enter, or you can also use this link or the code. And you have some questions about the recommendations and technical topics we are proposing. So the idea is that...
So Lyra, hi Lyra, it's me again. Sorry for interrupting you. Workshop, you know yourself, but if you could just go back one slide there. I'm getting all excited about this Mentimeter thing. So for those people who are watching us this morning, they can log into menti.com, menti.com, and it'll ask them for a number. And the number, and I know you've got it on the pages itself, it's 8360674. And when they put it in, they're going to go into a labyrinth and a beautifully designed process that you've put together for us this morning, where they can engage with what you're doing and how you're going about it. So as you go through the slides from this point forward, people in the audience are able to get some information from you, and then they can input and partake. But we won't be giving them the results of it today because I'm not going to be able to do it for you, but we're delighted to put it in as part of the process that we've got here. Is that correct, Lyra? Have I got all that right? Have I got all that right?
Yes, yes, that's correct. So
I'm all excited. So if you see me looking at my phone, it's because I'm trying to log into this and get my numbers into it. Okay, so brilliant. Off with you. Great. Oh, you've done it already, Lisanne. All right, great stuff. Thanks, Lara. Off with you, lovely.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, the idea is to get the feedback. We will not be showing the results in this session, but we will use these results for giving this feedback to ECSEL and to take into account because it's very valuable for us to know the opinion and the feedback of practitioners and researchers in the topic. So these are the topics, the technical topics that we consider that should be addressed in the new research agenda. Some of them are topics that could be added to existing challenges, and we have others that we consider that could be major challenges. So we have the natural and bio-inspired manufacturing, the bionic manufacturing and servitization, and we have other artificial intelligence, sustainability and resilience in time of crisis that we consider that are major challenges. So biosensors, bioactuators, manufacturing devices, and all the interdisciplinarity between the electronic components and systems and biology and life sciences, we think that this could be an emerging topic that we should address. Also, bionic manufacturing understood as engaging and augmenting human capabilities with technologies such as augmented reality, virtual reality, and other bionic technologies. This maybe can be an extension for the human-centric manufacturing challenge. Servitization, we have a challenge about digital servitization and the creation of digital marketplace. And we have the artificial intelligence. This was already addressed as a challenge in the research agenda, but the half of the opportunities for exploitation of artificial intelligence are in manufacturing. So we need to extend it and consider the artificial intelligence in all the manufacturing processes and all the digital industry, in order to improve productivity, increase autonomy, improve also the usability of products and services, and support complex decision-making processes. And artificial intelligence systems are electronic systems with embedded software and components. So we think that electronic component and system sector is vital to develop this kind of systems and also to address the technological challenges of the development of AI systems. We should include artificial intelligence aspect in almost all of the challenges, such as the digital platform challenge. So we will need a digital platform for artificial intelligence, for sharing the data, the algorithms. Also, artificial intelligence could be very relevant for human-centric manufacturing to improve the interaction of humans and machines and to improve also the worker conditions. And here the trust, the acceptance and trust of artificial intelligence is key. We don't understand artificial intelligence without a human. So we will need explainable artificial intelligence. And finally, sustainable manufacturing could be improved using artificial intelligence. If we go to the Green Deal topic, we see that Europe needs a digital sector that puts sustainability at its heart. This means that we need to improve the energy efficiency and circular economy performance of the digital sector itself. So all the semiconductor sector, it's very relevant to improve the sustainability of this sector. But the key digital technologies will also help to improve the sustainability of all the sectors. We have already a challenge about circular economy and sustainability, but we should address and take into account topics that are mentioned in the European Green Deal, such as the Circular Electronics Initiative, the Sustainable Products Policy, and the Electronic Product Passport. And for addressing these topics, we will need key digital technologies. So in the case of the sustainability, we also see that it's quite transversal. So will affect the existing challenges, such as the digital twin. So we can use the digital twins and simulations to improve the simulation of energy and use of material or waste production. Also, as we have mentioned, artificial intelligence could help in the sustainability. And we will need to develop digital platforms for circular economy, for instance. And the last technical topic is about resilience in time of crisis. So the COVID crisis has shown that Europe has a weakness regarding the supply chain, and we need to recover the European industry autonomy. And digitalization is key, because digitalization can help to increase the flexibility, resistance, and resilience of the European industry. So we should consider a new challenge or a new topic related to resilience in a fast-changing world. So COVID is an example, but we can have in the future other disruptions, and we will need to react to them. And regarding non-technical topics, we have new business models related to Industry 4.0 and circular economy. We have also, we need the need to foster the trust and acceptance of Industry 4.0. Education and skills are key. And also the just transition, digital and green. We will also speak about gender gap in industry and how we can help to reduce the inequalities in industry regarding gender, and how we can involve more the small and medium enterprises. So we recommend the reinforcement in the development of new business models related to digitalization and sustainability. So for instance, new business model for repairable and traceable products, and also a new business model based on renting and sharing goods and services. We think that for a successful adoption of digital industry, acceptance is very important. So citizens need to accept and see the benefits of digital industry. So we need to show these benefits, and we need to create trust in Industry 4.0 technologies. For doing that, I think that some possible recommendations are related to the inclusion of ethics committees in the projects, the involvement of workers in the co-design of the technology and devices, the inclusion of more communication and outreach activities to general public in order to show this the value, the added value of Industry 4.0. Because now sometimes they see they see Industry 4.0 or robots as a threat to their jobs, and not as an opportunity to improve their jobs and the society. Education and skills. So we need to educate the new generation of workers and engineers of Europe, but we need also to upskill and reskill the existing workforce. So all these topics are very relevant. So we need to include education and training activities in the projects, and also to develop plans for skilling, reskilling, and upskilling. The green and digital transition can only succeed if it is conducted in a fair and inclusive way. So how we can help in this direction? So we can analyze the social impact of the adoption of the technological solutions we develop in our project. We can foster the social fairness of these solutions, and we can try to involve the workers and citizens in the development of these solutions to make the manufacturing more inclusive. Gender gap. we have a gender gap in industry, so it's essential to have a better balance between women and men in industry. And Industry 4.0 and the digital industry is an opportunity to end these inequalities. But for doing that, we need to be aware that the technological solutions that we are developing are not gender neutral. So we need to assure that we incorporate a gender perspective when we are designing the solutions, and also when we are evaluating the solutions. How we can do that? We can include a gender perspective in all the projects that are related to Industry 4.0, and even we can have projects with a specific focus on decreasing gender inequalities in industry using these technologies. The small and medium enterprises will have a key role in the green and digital transitions. So we need to foster the participation in projects. How we can do that? In the work package 2 of the coordination and support action, some recommendation has been drawn in this sense. So one of them is to improve the visibility of the ECSEL program and projects. Another one is to provide a community building features such as communication platforms, or to increase the number local the local events promoting this program and these projects. Also, an appropriate consortium structure can help this kind of small companies to solve questions and administrative issues, to decrease the bureaucracy at 2 levels, at the European Commission level and also at national level. And finally, the usage of cascade funding or open calls that are quite used in Horizon 2020, but can be also incorporated in ECSEL in order to foster the participation of small companies. And this is a reminder of providing your feedback in Mentimeter. The questions are about the topics that we have just mentioned in the presentation, and your feedback will be very valuable. And that's all for my part. Thank you for.
Lara, that was excellent, and thank you so much. And as I said to the audience before you started, very comprehensive. I'll ask Uli there to be getting his slide deck ready. Lara, very comprehensive, very engaging, a fantastic piece of analysis done as well right across it. You know, there's a very wide range of challenges and areas that we're in. It struck me, and I suppose it always does when I see, you know, a conversation going on around upskilling people. You know, and practically, we're going to have to start teaching people on the floor, if you like, of an operational manufacturing company, things like standard deviation and the ability to comfortably deal with data. I mean, it's a very significant challenge that we've got right across the European Union. Are you feeling that at all right through the process? You know, the people can very blithely say we need to upskill our workforce. Box ticked, we've addressed the problem. You know, there's a massive amount of work underneath that. Was that your take from this, for example, and just taking one point to what you brought up?
Yeah, I think that in the case of Industry 4.0 and the adoption of these technologies in factories, this could can have a great impact on the needs of upscaling the workforce. And it's not an easy task, but it's quite challenging. But I think that it's also interesting, and we need to reach those workers that we need to adapt to new technologies, and we need to make sure that they see these technologies as friends and as a positive thing, and not something that is threatening their jobs and the way they work.
Yes, and I suppose some of the ideation documents that you were working from there, you know, would reveal that automation in itself doesn't reduce the total number of jobs, you know, that there's a lot of servicization and support functions and IT functions and writing code and utilization, health and safety protocols and all of that, you know, that as a global entity, the enterprise very often increases its workforce, albeit is far more productive as an entity. And I guess that really is the challenge. The profile of workers we have doesn't fit the profile of outputs that we need. And that's true of every country in Europe and of Europe in general, I guess.
Yes, it's true. When for the future workplace, I think that we at universities we have work to do to train them, and I think that also we can see it as opportunity, because, for instance, for the gender gap, one of the reasons that there is such inequalities in industry is that for women maybe it's not attractive the work in a factory, but the new technologies and the new skills that they will be required in factories may be more attractive for women, so we'll be able to attract more women to this domain, and this could be an opportunity.
Super. Lyra, I really enjoyed that presentation. You always give value for the time that you spend talking to all of us as a wider group. Thank you for the work you've done. Thank you for the presentation. Like I said, it was excellent. And it's very unfortunate for Uli to have to be following that level of detail and professionalism. So I will welcome onto the stage, or you can mute there, Lyra, if you like. I welcome onto the stage. You're very welcome. And stay with us. We'll have questions at the end. Uli Vente, you should always finish with the best wine, they tell us. Our Lord told us that in the Bible. We're working towards the top dog here, really, from all of our perspective. Uli Vente from VTT. Uli, if you could take it away, my friend, and the floor is all yours. Your mic is open and you're good to go.
Yes, the mic is, thank you. The mic is open, and I assume that you can see the front page of my PowerPoint. Very good. So I'm going to give an overview of so to say ECSEL SRIA being prepared this year, throughout this year 2020, and it will be official in the beginning of next year 2021. So it's called ECSEL SRIA 2021. It will guide you, audience, guide you or instruct you how to prepare proposals next year to be accepted in ECSEL, and then those accepted, the project will start 2022. So that's why it's called ECSEL SRIA. It's again a huge document. I will take the next slide. Again, the SRA document is huge. It's more than 400 pages. It will cover a lot of technologies. It will cover a lot of application areas. The technologies are arranged a little bit anew from the last year. So I guess not so much have been left out, but we have 4, so to say, foundational technology layers which can be expected to be seen or needed in almost all projects. So process technologies, equipment, manufacturing refers very much to microelectronics. In the same way, components, modules, systems, integrations, they all refer to microelectronics, not software components or software modules. The chapter embedded software is a new one, and I very much welcome such chapter, because software engineering is not definitely not a new topic, but more needed, more acute than ever. Systems chapter, we have had it in different names. Then we have 4 vertical bars here, which are named as a group cross-sectional technologies. So somehow reaching out from foundational technologies towards application sectors. So we have artificial intelligence, we have connectivity, we have architecture and design, quality, and we have quality, reliability, safety, and cybersecurity. Very vital to all applications. When we look at the application arch here, as before we have mobility, very much related to autonomous driving, but this year and probably last year it also referred to other mobility things like trains and airplanes and marine. We have energy. It's about distributed multimode energy systems, not so much perhaps the big units. Then our topic, digital industry, and we go further, health and well-being, agri-food and national resources is a new application, or it was included in digital industry last year, but now it's a separate sector for a good reason. And the last one is digital society. Yes.
Sorry, Ollie, for cutting across you. I just wanted to interject. It was pointed out to me this morning. I think it's a fantastic commentary. You've managed as a group there to really portray a very complex ecosystem in a very clever manner. You know, I must say you and the team deserve quite a lot of credit for that, because I've seen some of the documentation. I said I've seen it as opposed to read it. There's a massive amount of input in all of this, and there's such clarity in that slide deck there. And I particularly like the application area number 3.5. As a farmer's son from Ireland, agri-food, natural resources, I'm delighted to see that in there. I think it's incredible. And looking at this on a number of occasions now and trying to find a weakness in your logic is very difficult. This is a beautiful piece of work, and I think a lot of credit to you and the team there. I just wanted to interject with that comment. Well done.
Yes, I am sitting in a farm here, and I'm a son of a farmer as well. Okay, time is flying. Yes, okay. Perhaps one couple of things about the SRA in general. So it's written anew every year, and it tends to be a huge document, and nobody expects that all of you read all of them. So read what you need to know, and that's perhaps good enough. And then there's another document being prepared, which is more, so to say, executive summary. So for those decision makers and managers who are, so to say, quick reading, for them there is a much shorter document being prepared. But I will not talk about that today. But this is, and the document contains chapters for all these topics mentioned here. And digital industry is one of the 15 or 16 chapters. And the rest of my talk will be about that chapter. Okay. But before that, I want to mention everyone who has contributed in writing this digital industry chapter. So it's me on the top, because I was the leader, so to say, chapter leader. I have had 3 other leaders, so to say co-leaders in the group, and the 4 of us have been mostly responsible for the text, and me perhaps the most. Then we have significant contributors. First, our LIASE group. You see the same names as Andrew mentions in his slides. Then the CSA Industry4.E project, the CSA project team. It's been very helpful here and perhaps provided most of the contribution. So the key people are listed here, and then the last 10 people are perhaps diverse people from all over Europe, who has been more or less active, commenting or giving opinions, providing text, proofreading, and so on. So how to become a member on this list? So if anyone in the audience, the simple answer is that give a simple email. To whom? So this SRA process starts again next January, February, around ECSEL brokerage event. So that's perfect time to make yourself heard, or write an email to us that you want to be part of here. And I haven't seen anybody rejected or denied. So then you are free to participate in our meetings, in our telcos, as we have had this year a lot. And you will be part of the writing team, and you cannot be too active there. So that's the way to become involved. The chapter leaders, perhaps, and here as we have the LIASE groups, they are the obvious partners here, and so to say given, but ECSEL wants these documents be written by as extensive groups as possible. So this is supposed to represent, so to say, European will. Okay, every chapter in that big document, which is available electronically somewhere, it's 400 pages, more than 400 pages now, and every chapter has the same repeating structure. There is one page scope. There's a chapter paragraph of application trends and societal benefits about strategic advantage for European Union. And then each chapter lists or describes its chosen major challenges. We were given the opportunity to write 3, 4, or 5 challenges. And as we heard previously from Leire's presentation, there is perhaps 20 or 30 recommendations for good reasons to be highlighted in such an SRA. So it was an effort to, so to say, shrink all those wishes, all those recommendations to 6 major challenges. So again, major challenge is perhaps an upper level headline. It's divided into, so behind each of these titles there are a number of subtitles, so that's the way to take care of the multitude of things that are needed for digitalizing in industries. Okay, I will go further now. And before jumping through the major challenges, first the scope. So what does digital industry stand for? It's digitalization about all, let's say, traditional or heavy industries in Europe. First is manufacturing or discrete manufacturing. Then it's about process industries. In some languages, manufacturing means also process industries, but just to be sure. And also often energy processes are classified as part of process industries, but since energy is so important, it is its own chapter in the SRA. Then machines, robots are important for Europe. And then supply chains, value chains, life cycles or company networks, and then all functional layers we usually think about. So starting from process or machine level up to the enterprise management level, and all functions and layers between. So this and digitizing all of this. So without computers, this is not successful any longer. Okay, then we have a list of major challenges, and for the interest of time, I think I should do it quite quick. So the first challenge is responsive and smart production. So this is more or less how modern, agile, scalable manufacturing should look like, and all modern significant titles are mentioned there. I will not read them here now. Another aspect to production or manufacturing is sustainable production. So later and talked a lot about Green Deal and sustainable production, or caring for climate, caring for waters, rivers, seas, seabeds. It is very important for Europe. So we decided to dedicate another major challenge to sustainable production. The next one. So artificial intelligence is everywhere. So it's elsewhere in our SRI AI document, and it's important. It's so important for manufacturing. Here we have only 4 bullet titles, but when we were preparing this subchapter, I think I had 25 pages of text, and then we started to shrink and combining subtitles, and then we could have a piece of text fitting to 3 or 4 pages, which is how artificial intelligence should look like from industry point of view. Then this is perhaps one of my favorites, industrial service business. I chose this picture. I like this picture. I have drawn it myself. I drew it first time 2010 or 11, when we already had our industries developing their businesses towards becoming a service provider instead of a machine provider. But here we see on the right hand column, there's, so to say, a big or end user or end customers who have bought a factory, who have bought our machines, and then they want to operate it the best they can, and they care for anomalies. They care for operator skill, they care about productivity, they care about different performances and so on. They want to do them by themselves, but more and more they want to buy these as services. So at that time already we called it outsourcing, and also the machine or systems vendors were willing to develop their capabilities to give that assistance, first as spare parts, but then soon you could remotely measure how the factory was doing, or how the driver was doing, helping him, giving assistance, using simulators, using the design knowledge, using the experiences various customers have had, and so on. So there are many variations of this picture you can see in the projects, and companies are still wanting such business cases. Okay. Another important thing that has been there for decades. So digital twins or simulators, and not so recently, but near, also mixed or augmented reality. And if you do that over the networks, we can talk about telepresence. So there are many uses and many versions of simulators or digital twins. This picture here is, again, it's not drawn myself, but by a colleague at VTT, and it describes how a planned planning and building projects goes on face to face, first as an engineering project, and then and then how you operate and maintain a plant, and then it lists these various uses of simulators at each stage and purpose. Perhaps the figure speaks for itself. And the last challenge is autonomous systems and robotics. So in general, the industry wants to become more and more autonomous. Automation levels are rising, but still, as perhaps people become concerned that will computers take away their jobs, I don't think at all it will do. So we can think about technical systems, machines or factories as either as totally manual, which is one extreme, or totally autonomous, which is another extreme. And perhaps both are unrealistic. So there's a huge growing gray area between there, where you can successfully operate. So the key is a good interplay between more and more intelligent algorithms, artificial intelligence, automation, and better human beings, and that will keep our jobs in Europe. That was the last major challenge, and the last last slide, but one. You have to when preparing your proposals, you have to read the whole, or you have to at least read the contents of the whole document. So the other chapters are important for industry as well. So I didn't write here so much about engineering tools. So we cannot even think about building factories or running factories or building machines without engineering or designing them. In the same way, we cannot even think about distributed industrial systems without having trust, security, cybersecurity, safety, privacy in place, and so on. About the same is true for digital platforms, application development frameworks, and so on. So when you prepare your proposals, please use potentially all possible combinations of technologies and application needs, and then you have your proposals complete, and that will give eventually the complete picture of the digital industry. So unfortunately, the digital industry chapter is not everything you need. You need the enabling, so to say, enabling technologies as well. Okay, that's my presentations. Perhaps there's one piece of news in this slide. My contact data, which will change from 1st of January 2021 on. So I have already retired from VTT. I'm still somehow affiliated to VTT, but from the beginning of next year, I will be a senior citizen, honestly, and I can be reached by email olli.venta@outlook.com, not vtd.fi. But I will not forget about digital technologies. Thank you.
Olli, thank you for that presentation, and I can attest to the number of pages and all of the work that you had to synopsize in that for us today, and we're very grateful. But I think on the bigger picture, Olli, it falls to me to thank you most sincerely from all your friends and all of the colleagues and all the people who have worked with you for many years and who've admired your integrity and your honesty and your professionalism in dealing with idiots and professors and researchers and people like myself that fall in between all of those things. You have been part educator, part motivator, friend, drinking colleague, shoulder to cry on. You've never been overawed by the sheer scale of what has been put on your shoulders. I think that you are a credit certainly to all of us that have been lucky enough to work closely with you over the last number of years to really see you in your pomp. You're certainly inextricably linked to VTT in our minds. That organization has had massive positive light shone on it right through Europe on the back of the work that you have carried out. So I know from knowing you well enough that this retirement is not going to slow you down. The fact that you put your personal email on the front page of this document means that we will all be swinging out of you next year. 2021 will be just as busy for you, my friend, as last year, I'm sure, certainly in the activities you're involved with us. And we're very grateful, as I said, for all of the work and the kindness that you've shown us. And I obviously, from a personal basis, you've extended all those courtesies to me as well. Hardly deserving, but very grateful, Olli. So thank you very much. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. That's called engineering life, if not life as such.
It is life, and there's lots of happiness, Olli, in being part of something that's bigger than you. And I think that you know, if you could see the feeds that I'm getting on the chat slides here, and people thanking you for the work you've done and for all of the input that you've had, and people that you've been in contact with over a generation now on this. There's a lot of gratitude coming down the line here, so I'm very grateful to you. I'm tempted in the last 6 minutes to respond to a few questions, but it seems like a downer having been so high in terms of praising Ollie. Ollie, if you can go to the next slide on your deck, I think there should be a holding page there with some sort of email address or something. There it is. Excellent. Lisa never lets me down on that. So in terms of there we go, that's the one. So it's for those of you who are looking for a connection to us, and there's a couple of questions here on the feed around how do I connect and so on. Go to the website Industry4.E.eu. I know that our colleague Olga from AquaTT, who are a fantastic partner in this CSA activity as well, has been responding in the forum to make sure that some of your questions and connections are met. And thank you, Olga. It's lovely to hear from you virtually. I hope you and yours are well. But certainly Industry4E.eu and Lisa-Anne and her team will be able to connect with you there. Lisa-Anne, one question for you. Can clusters within EUREKA programs join your Lighthouse initiative? What's your...
Absolutely. We have a big opening for EUREKA, for sure. That would be amazing to have them on board. So yeah, reach out in whichever tweet or email or whatever, and we'll respond. Yeah,
and get involved. I have another very cheeky question here, asking an Irish guy about the tax situation and how taxes can be used to encourage companies to get involved in innovation.
Yeah,
I think
or tax credits. Yeah.
Yeah, the tax. I think I'm very much I suppose from an ethical and a situational perspective, I think it's important that grants of all forms are there to encourage the commercial entities that exist right across the European Union in whatever form to engage in innovation and transformation. And I think particularly now the desire and the ambition that we're seeing coming from the Commission around the twin transition, I think it's worthy. It speaks to societal impact. It speaks to the integrity of our defences, for example, as a cluster of countries. I think it speaks to our own sovereignty around digitalization. I think there's quite a lot at stake at the moment culturally over the next 10 years, and we need to get that right. And all of the mechanisms of the state and of commerce and all of these should be utilized in whatever way is effective. I wouldn't be focusing, as the question is slightly turned in some ways around, you know, the efficacy of it. I think it's important that we get impact. And Lisa-Anne mentioned earlier on, I think Lara mentioned as well, the opportunity that something like a Cascade Fund, for example, can do to encourage organizations to get involved. Guys, is there any final words that you'd like to say? I've got a minute and a half left. I'm not going to hold you if I don't need to. I know all over Europe, kettles are being turned on at the moment because you've had a fantastic engagement with us and you want to have a coffee before the next chaos starts. But is there anything you'd like to leave with there, Lisa-Anne, other than that you've got an open door and you want companies and get involved?
I guess, Andrew, just to thank yourself. Thank you so much for keeping us all in line, herding cats. You know, like, you really have been great, and it's always a pleasure to you know, join our calls or our workshops and try to bring all of our voices together in one voice. So well done, you. You're doing a great job. So thank you.
That's very kind. IMR loves itself here, guys. We're very good teachers. Lara, have you any final thoughts that you want to say to me here on this? Are you good? Are you happy? How you're okay down there?
No, only to thank you to you and all the members of the LIASE and the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I suppose I speak on behalf of all of us when I would compliment our colleagues in ECSEL office and admin support. I know Bert and Eve run a fantastic ship in there, but the real hero for all of us, I think, in this program is Bertha and the work that she does, the encouragement, the kindness, the professionalism. She really is one of a kind as a project officer for the CSA, and certainly support for the LIASE group. We're very grateful to her and all of the work she does. I'm going to finish finally on a message that I'm seeing here. Olli Venta, a gentleman, thank you so much for so much. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the time that you've spent with us this morning or afternoon. We really enjoyed the touch time with you. I understand there was hundreds of people on. Isn't that great that an Irish voice can be all over Europe at one time in a captive audience? God bless you. I hope you stay safe and your families are good. We're nearly through COVID. Let's just keep it together for another little bit and get these medicines to the people who need it. All right. Thank you for your time. I'll ask VFairs to knock us off at this point. Thank you.